Hey, it's State of State. We got your Nittany Line update. It's a football discussion with Tom and Justin, so kick back and press play.
With former Penn State and NFL defensive back Justin King, I'm Tom Hannafin. This is State of State. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel. For just 99 cents a month, you can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. State of State is presented by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA to college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. State of State is presented by BetOnline. The game starts here. State of State is a proud supporter of Blue White Outfitters. Blue White Outfitters was created as a retail shop meant to highlight the confidence, competitiveness, and fearlessness of the elite athletes found throughout the history of Penn State University. Check out their Lockdown U and Lawn Boys merchandise today. All sales from Blue White Outfitters directly benefit Penn State student athletes. Also, official State of State merchandise is available now. Support the show and grab State of State t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Visit www.bluewhiteoutfitters.com today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to State of State. I'm Tom Hannafin. Breaking news earlier today, Penn State's Board of Trustees has agreed to a naming rights deal for Beaver Stadium that will span 15 years and net $50 million, starting effectively in 2025 and running through 2039. Penn State's home turf will be known as West Shore Home Field at Beaver Stadium. Now, this came out earlier on today, this via gopsusports.com. The Penn State Board of Trustees today approved by a vote of 22-8 the naming of the field at Beaver Stadium as West Shore Home Field at Beaver Stadium. The visionary and significant gift from the Wurzen family and West Shore Home provides incredible support and momentum to the Beaver Stadium revitalization project, helping to ensure a future foundation for Penn State football and for all of Penn State's 31 athletics programs. In recognition of the generosity of the Wurzen family and West Shore Home, the field will be known as West Shore Home Field at Beaver Stadium, beginning with the 2025 season. So for those that don't know, in the very recent past, BJ Wurzen, who is the CEO of West Shore Home and a Penn State alum, the Wurzen family has donated money as a part of the Beaver Stadium revitalization project. This is obviously a much more significant movement. West Shore Home has been contributing to Penn State as well, obviously getting involved in the NIL game and supporting Penn State athletics. And there have been a lot of things that we've seen over the last few years, donations going towards the revitalization project specifically for Beaver Stadium, trying to improve upon a stadium that we all hold very near and dear to our hearts. The reaction to this on social media was polarizing, as you can imagine. And for me, as a alum, as a fan, and as someone who covers the team, I have a lot of different thoughts on this. And I think fans naturally do as well, in that this is a bittersweet type of situation. There are tremendous positives. And I think for plenty of fans, this is disappointing. To me, this comes down to heart versus brain. My brain tells me that Penn State getting $50 million to contribute to Penn State football specifically, but as it was mentioned in this article, 31 athletics programs. That is a tremendous boost to this program. Pat Kraft spoke about it very recently, holding a press conference talking about the steps that Penn State has made in terms of NIL and saying we need to kind of get away from looking at it as NIL. This is marketing. And this is a marketing opportunity, a chip that Penn State had to play. Didn't have to play, but was able to play, I guess is the better way to put it. This is a tremendous opportunity. There's enormous value for Penn State to do this with a family that obviously cares about Penn State, ties to Penn State, a company that is based in Pennsylvania. This is a real positive, I think, in so many ways. And I think the challenge that a lot of people are going to feel with this is, well, the business side of this. And the truth of the matter that I think a lot of people need to eventually wrap their heads around is it's adapt or die with this era of college football. You don't necessarily have to like it, but this is what it is. It is a arms race in order to get yourself as much capital as you possibly can to build your roster, build your program, be able to compete with the juggernauts of this sport. And Penn State has slowly but surely gotten itself back into the game. And this is a huge step forward, I think, for the program to be able to do this for football, but all sports. I saw data out there recently about, the success of Penn State wrestling, for example. Tremendous success. Cale Sanderson is somebody that Pat Kraft talked about extensively recently and said, it's whatever you need to be successful. But at the same time, that's a program that loses money. And most athletics programs lose money. So it's these types of donations that help Penn State field national championship caliber teams in all the sports you love, create opportunities for young men and women that you care about, that you pay a ticket or turn on a TV for or buy a t-shirt or something for, so that they have an opportunity to go get an education or further their skills athletically and potentially set them up for the future. There are so many positives to what this can affect. I know the focus is going to be on football because it is the football stadium. It is Beaver Stadium. But the positive that this is for the entirety of the athletics program, I think, has to be taken into consideration. So as I mentioned, this is a heart versus brain thing. So my brain looks at the business side of it. And again, I'm like, this is great for Penn State athletics. Well, how does my heart feel about it? I, like many Penn State fans, have hoped for quite some time that the field would be dedicated to Joe Paterno. The concept of naming the field Paterno Field at Beaver Stadium has been thrown around for many years. And obviously, talking about Joe Paterno, it becomes a very complicated conversation, specifically for the university in terms of his legacy. There's so many things that we can dive into in terms of, obviously, the Sandusky scandal that people are very well aware of. But we all know the successes and what Joe Paterno did for this university. So I think that was the bulk of the reaction that I saw on social media, is people saying, well, why wasn't it this? And from what I understand, that point was raised within this Board of Trustees vote. And the point is well taken. This was an opportunity, I think, that, yes, this is tough for Penn State fans to say. It's like, well, the money was something that made a difference for Penn State athletics. And I think people would have liked to have seen the way that other college football programs have honored their legends, the way Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium for Alabama, great example. I can also then turn around and say, well, I'm pretty sure the Kansas City Chiefs field, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, an iconic stadium, different league. I can completely understand the argument one might make against that, but like, there's precedent for both these sides. It's a challenging thing to look at. I think, as I said, this is bittersweet, but this is a huge positive for the university in terms of the people that would like to see the field dedicated to Joe Paterno. I'm in your camp completely, but I can also step back and look at this and say, well, getting a naming rights deal helps this university in ways that other universities might not be willing to do. And it's not saying that, well, Penn State, was selling out or any of that stuff. I don't buy that at all. This is an opportunity that most sports franchises and leagues take advantage of. This is the way of the world. And I know a lot of people want to see college football stay rooted in its tradition and in its past and stay away from the business side of it. This should be love of the game, love of the community, love of the university, love of your fellow teammates and your coaches and all those sorts of things. But I think it's been pretty well proven at this point in time that college football has evolved for a very long time, even before the advent of NIL and the transfer portal. This has been a business, and it's just out in the open now, and not a lot of people love it. I get that. I completely understand it. It's really difficult to look at the benefits of what this does for the program, football, and every other athletics program that Penn State has. It is a situation where it's like, how do you turn this down? And you get it from a family that cares about the university, has ties to it, a central Pennsylvania business. This, I'll put it this way. There are a lot of brands that could have been attached to Beaver Stadium that a lot of people would have rolled their eyes at. I also saw that sentiment on social media of saying, "Oh, well, I'm glad it wasn't, name a company at Beaver Stadium." I look at I've actually been to this venue and performed at it, but the KFC Yum Center in Louisville. Okay, it's not the greatest name. Now, KFC obviously has tremendous ties to Louisville, so you understand why that connection is there. And it's a beautiful stadium. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, there's good names for stadiums and there's tough names for stadiums. This is easily digestible, and it's a company and a family who already have a connection with Penn State University. So I can understand how this is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of Penn State football fans. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, the name is going away. Well, this is still going to be Beaver Stadium, no matter what. And there still might come a day where this is Paterno Field at Beaver Stadium. But you have to look at the way that the business of college athletics is going and understand the benefit of what this is for all of Penn State athletics. I think you also have to look at the way the Board of Trustees voted and reacted to this and identify the players that are rooted in tradition in the past, not in a positive way, and standing in the way of progress. There are a lot of people on this Board of Trustees that want to see this program move into the future. And I completely understand the argument that will be spawned from that comment is, well, it's okay. You have to be rooted in tradition and you have to respect the past. That's what Penn State is all about. I completely agree with that. And again, I said it multiple times now. This is bittersweet for me as a fan, and my heart absolutely can sit here and be like, yep, I would love to see it be Paterno Field at Beaver Stadium. But this moves us all forward. And we continue year after year after year. Ask what is it going to take for Penn State football specifically to get over the hump and get back to a national championship. 2025, a lot of that could be realized, which is amazing that maybe for the first time in nearly 40 years, Penn State football could capture a national championship. It's a credible argument to make going into this season. You do have to consider the future beyond that. What does this football program do to continue to market itself, raise money, and then compete with the juggernauts of this sport? You have a lot of these different programs who have the benefit of not having to agree to circumstances like this. And I'm not trying to paint this in a negative light, but this is the way of the world. I use the example with Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia. You have these juggernauts who have had extremely deep pockets for a very long time. It's well documented that Penn State, specifically with football, has been playing money ball and catch up for the last handful of years. Once NIL got off the ground, Penn State was slow to keep up with that. You have to be able to pay market. Those are the exact words of Pat Kraft when it came to talking about Jim Knowles, talking about the starting quarterback position for Penn State football. All of these stars that Penn State was able to retain for the 2025 season that all of us love and respect and want to see them back so Penn State can credibly compete for a national championship. That doesn't happen without dollars and cents. So things like this become extremely valuable and extremely necessary. And you do think about, okay, well, this is a 15-year deal, $50 million. Imagine how much more value Penn State has in 2039. And you also have to think about, yes, there's a lot of money that's being sunk into the revitalization of Beaver Stadium. I think this is an underlying thing about this is that you're seeing nearly $1 billion put into this stadium. This stadium has needed TLC for the longest time. I love the stadium. It is my mecca. It is a home away from home, and I would love to see it last until the day that I am no longer on this earth. But realistically, there could come a time where Penn State maybe has to duplicate what Texas A&M did with Kyle Field in order for the place that we care about so much to live on. You may have to tear down and build all over again something that is a spitting image of what you all remember. That's what Texas A&M did with Kyle Field, built something that aesthetically looked exactly the same from the outside, and with little tweaks here, modern tweaks, making it much more comfortable, all those sorts of things, the modern amenities that we all enjoy as football fans. Little things like Penn State getting Beaver Stadium winterized for this past season in time. And goodness, glad they did that, because Penn State hosted SMU and it was 13 degrees out. So all of these little things are going to add up when it comes to the lifespan of Beaver Stadium. In that, yes, there very well could come a time where it's like, hey, like there's a lot of money that's been sunk into this to try and keep this place going. There could come a day where it will be necessary to tear down and build up again. But it seems like what is being done right now with this project over the long term is going to stabilize Beaver Stadium and improve its overall health, so we can all continue to enjoy it and continue to be this beacon of college football, housing the greatest show in college athletics, perhaps in sports, in the whiteout game. So I, for one, see the pluses and minuses that I think everybody can potentially see with something like this. But let's not make any mistake about this. For the business of Penn State athletics, this is a tremendous victory today. So I know there's a lot of opinions on this. And like I said, this is bittersweet for me, as I can separate the broadcaster from the fan and the alum. And I side with so many people that, yes, would have loved to have seen a dedication to the memory of Joe Paterno. Obviously, that's not happening at this point in time, and perhaps one day it will. But right now, the health and well-being of this athletics program is being addressed aggressively by Pat Kraft. For Penn State football specifically, this is a great boost for James Franklin and his program moving into the future. So I for one, am just very encouraged by this. And then the hope I have is that by a company like West Shore Home and a family like the Wurzen family dedicating as much money as they have to Penn State University, Penn State athletics, this hopefully has a domino effect to other families, other businesses, big and small. And this just continues to add to what we already have. It's a great thing. And the thing I know we struggle with as Penn State football fans and Penn State athletics fans is, I mentioned it, the juggernauts of the sport, at least within college football, right? And I'm listing off, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, there's all these Notre Dame's, just got done dealing with that. Well, Penn State often feels like little brother, I think sometimes, and often feels like, hey, like we should be in that conversation. We think a lot of ourselves. We feel like we should be one of those juggernauts. Well, as I mentioned, it's been pretty well proven from a financial standpoint in terms of what the athletics program had to work with. It was more with less. And having this opportunity is a positive for the future of the entirety of the athletics program. And it's finally catching up to what this college football and college athletics landscape is. It's adapt or die. You have to be able to spend. You have to be willing to spend. You have to be able to pay market. And you have to be willing to invest in the future of all of your athletics programs. That's what happened today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I get it. This is definitely something that is going to be polarizing. Know that my heart is with those of you that would have liked to have seen this dedicated to Joe. But my brain can look at this reasonably and understand how much of a benefit this is for all of Penn State athletics, especially Penn State football going forward. Thank you so much for tuning into State of State. We'll have more on this later on this week. Thank you all so much for joining us. This episode and our entire library of shows is available now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel. For just 99 cents a month, you can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. State of State is presented by Bet Online and by Blue White Outfitters.